I am Skyler. I've previously walked 4,500 miles across the US, cycled 8,000 kilometers across Canada, and tonight I leave for Mongolia to ride horses 1,000 plus miles across the country. IAmA. Edit. I'm catching my flight to China and then Mongolia, so I won't be able to respond for at least 2 days. If you leave a question that hasn't been answered, I'll try to get to you later on. Thanks for the questions and support. If you're supporting me and want to see how it turns out, or hoping I'll crash and burn, you can follow me on my subreddit Skyler and my Instagram, which is linked at the bottom. My short bio: I'm back for my second IAmA. My last one was just before I set off to cycle across Canada, the second biggest country in the world. In my previous one I answered a lot of questions about walking across America, link here. Feel free to ask me questions about either trip. Just a timeline of events: August 2016, July 2017 was my walk, 322 days, Toronto, on to San Francisco, ca April 2018, July 2018 was my bike ride, 99 days, in memory of my grandfather from Victoria, BC to St. John's. NL riding a horse across Mongolia will be from May 4 July 28. I plan to ride 1,600 plus km from Ulaanbaatar, the capital city, with half the country's population, to Algi, a town on the western edge, close to the borders of China and Russia. A little bit about Mongolia: it's well known for Genghis Khan, whose family eventually had the largest contiguous land empire at any point in history. Nowadays it's a developing country with 3 million people, 1.5 million inches the capital, 1.5 million inches small towns or nomads. I will be taking this trip with my girlfriend Madison. Neither of us have a lot of horse riding knowledge, so we've contacted some nomads and will buy horses from them as well as learn more about horses and get used to them. We'll do that for about 2 weeks and then set off for Algi. We're limited to 90 days in Mongolia, and altogether this should take 87 days. My proof: I have a blog on this site Skyler. I made a post just about every day on both trips. I did stop posting blog posts in Newfoundland. I was exhausted by the end. However, there are my Instagram posts from it which you can follow me on if you're interested. https://www.instagram.com Skyler. I'm a Redditor of 7 years, and from both Brampton, Ontario and Vallejo, California. So without further preamble, ask me anything. Also, yes, I am a bitch in Breaking Bad. I got like 30 comments about that last time.
Hemflev says why?
Canuck Bacon replies, well, my friend Mario bet me 0 that I couldn't walk across America. In turn I bet him 0 he couldn't cycle across Canada. I had to go with him on that since he didn't have much experience and would have probably died. Now he's bet me 0 that I can't ride a horse across Mongolia. There's many other reasons I decide to do these trips, like enjoying travel, liking adventure, challenging myself, etc. It's really the 0 though.
Chris Bench says, how do you fund such trips?
Canuck Bacon replies, just answered that here. Basically just extremely frugally. I don't own a car, don't go out much, eat cheaply, etc. These trips are my passion and so my money goes towards them.
Squirrel Thing says, but would you walk 500 more?
Canuck Bacon replies, only to be the one to fall down at your door.
ZDANILS21 says, how long will you be riding near Ulaanbaatar? How will you deal with the intense air pollution?
Canuck Bacon replies, we will be in UB for about 4 days before we go off to the countryside. So hopefully we won't actually be riding very close to UB. The air pollution is usually worse during winter, but I have asthma so I'll be wearing a surgical mask likely, however much that helps, and be bringing my inhaler.
Max Hardle says, what was the closest you came to death on any of your trips? Or what was the scariest moment of any of your trips?
Canuck Bacon replies, there weren't really any moments I came close to death on either trip. There were moments where I was completely exhausted but pushed through. The scariest moment was when I was in Alabama. I had just crossed the Tennessee River and was on some land owned by the National Parks System. It wasn't really meant for camping though. It was about 10 p.m., the sun had long set and I really needed to use the bathroom, and I'm talking more than just a tree. Luckily there was a bathroom about 10 minutes walk up this little hill, so I start walking. The moon was out so I had enough light, I didn't need to bother with a flashlight. That is until I start hearing rustling nearby. Suddenly it was coming from multiple directions, almost a scratching noise. I quickly got out my phone and turned on my flashlight only to discover it was some armadillos. They were just digging in the dirt for bugs or whatever it is. Nearly scared the shit out of me.
Dartsu27 says, will you be using any camels or guard dogs? Last summer my sister rode a horse around Mongolia for 5 months. She thought having a guard dog was very worthwhile. Before she got a dog, her horse got stolen in the night once, and luckily reclaimed later. She wrote up her thoughts here with another traveler she met here. http://www.thelandridersguild.com/stories/w-mongolia.htm and a newspaper interview here. http://www.valleyrecord.com/life/duval-traveler-returns-from-5-month-journey-across-Mongolia/also she fell in love with camels while in Mongolia. Wasn't expecting to use any, but she says they have the best, quirkiest personalities. She'd probably be happy to offer tips and contacts if you need any bang edit. As others pointed out, experience with horses seems important to consider. My sister had been riding regularly for an GT 10 years before this trip.
Canuck Bacon replies, wow, that's awesome. Always good to hear about other people doing cool things like that. We'll be starting in eastern Mongolia, so not a ton of camels out there. We're looking into guard dogs but might be staying with random people, so we don't want to have a dog that might fight with local people's dogs.
Alex Starfire says, do people associate your name to Breaking Bad more often than you'd like?
Canuck Bacon replies, only on Reddit. Last IAmA there were tons of people with Breaking Bad references. I've never been called a bitch so much in my life. Other than that, not really.
Zacharis now says he have a friend currently walking across the US. She's currently in Ohio. Any tips?
Canuck Bacon replies, if you ever think of quitting, do one more day of walking. Doesn't have to be a full day, but go to the next place. During my cycling trip, my friend Mario, who was with me, wanted to quit a few times, but I'd always push him to do one more day with me and then he could quit. By the next day he'd be ready for another. Also, don't forget to take days off every now and then. Gotta recharge and do some laundry.
ARUTSURU says, what's your hemorrhoid situation at the moment?
Canuck Bacon replies, currently none. I'm not in Mongolia yet though.
Scott0RTH says, what's your favorite soda and why is it Coke?
Canuck Bacon replies, Coca-Cola. I prefer it in glass bottles with real sugar like they having in Mexico and many other countries around the world. For fountain Coke, McDonald's takes the cake with consistently good mixtures. Coca-Cola was something that my family would drink on occasion, and I enjoyed it since I was a kid. No matter where I travel, I can still get it. It's tied to many good memories for me. Dutch Sculptor says, why Mongolia? It's a beautiful country but has also a lot of flat open space with nothing to see. Are you going to take the same route as the Grand Tour did? If not, what would be your global route? Are there special places that you want to visit, and what are those? If you're not your own boss, how do you get such a long time off? Canuck Bacon replies, my last 2 trips were in fairly big countries that were well populated. I wanted something different. I enjoy solitude sometimes, and feeling small in the universe. It also just popped into my head, so I decided to roll with it. I don't watch the Grand Tour. I actually don't own a car or have a driver's license. My friend was telling me they built a car in Mongolia or something though. That's crazy cool. There are several national parks in Mongolia that we'll be going close to, and so we'll go off and visit them. Ubbs Lake looks pretty cool. I work minimum wage jobs, so it's not terribly hard to find new ones. To save up for this one, I worked at a coffee shop and as a dishwasher in a restaurant, about 55-60 hours a week combined. Amish guy says, how long does it take you to plan for these trips? Did you have visa issues in Mongolia? Good luck, and I wish I were part of it. Canuck Bacon replies, usually over the course of several months to a year from idea to fruition. As for planning, it started in February, so maybe 3 months. Americans can visit for 90 days without a visa. Paying for a visa only gets you an extra 30 days. Thanks.
Professor Physics says so. How muscular did you get from all of this?
Canuck Bacon replies, each trip would build muscles in certain areas, which after the trips I do essentially nothing to maintain the muscles, so within several months I'd be back to normal. So very and not really. Fern Hedgem says, do you expect to run into, and or destroy any city walls? Canuck Bacon replies, yes to both.
Ian Burrito says, did you walk across the country along highways?
Canuck Bacon replies, in the US you're not allowed to walk on the interstates, with a few exceptions, so it was a lot of state highways and back roads.
Kupesky says, are you ready to drink fermented mare's milk?
Canuck Bacon replies, Erib, yes I am.
Your gay stretching says, do you have a trust fund or something? Most people couldn't afford to take a month off work, let alone years.
Canuck Bacon replies, I just save up money, working minimum wage jobs. I don't need much to survive and live very frugally. My first trip I spent about $0, my second I spent about 500 Canadian dollars. This one should hopefully take about $0.
Bananashua says that is crazy, but really cool. Question, how do you handle money on your way? And do you carry any protection, seeing as you never know what you might meet? And how did you start out at first? Edit. Also, where did you start out from? Lol, did you just like walk out of your house one day and never look back? And how many miles did you average a day? How much did you spend day to day, week to week on food?
Canuck Bacon replies, 1. Usually in my bank account and using a debit card. I'll have to use mostly cash for this one too. I didn't really carry protection. I will be getting a decent knife for this trip, mostly because of wolves. 3. My mom dropped me off at a trailhead in Waterdown, Ontario. I gave her a hug goodbye and I started walking. 4. I'd average 20-25 miles a day when I was walking. The most I did was 34 miles by walking. Cycling was 60-90 miles a day. 5. Usually about $0.15 on food per day. A mixture of grocery stores and fast food, as well as the occasional restaurant.
You boys says, how are your knees, your feet, your skin, your back?
Canuck Bacon replies, knees and feet are in good shape. I have a lot of acne on my back from when I was a teenager, so that kinda sucks. Also I have some hip problems from the walk.
Silver Creek says, when you walked across America, where did you stay at night? Hotels, or did you just depend on the kindness of strangers, or did you camp?
Canuck Bacon replies, mostly camping in my tent or with strangers. I'd either meet them as I was walking or use sites like couch surfing. It's a country of very kind people.
Hackle says, have you ever considered changing your name?
Canuck Bacon replies, yes. Before I was born my mom wanted to name me Stone, but my dad wanted to name me Skyler. It turns out I share a birthday with Stone Phillips, so that's pretty cool. In general though, I like my name.
Charcosaurus Lex says to maybe head off some of these naysayers. Why don't you tell us what your plan is after you return from your adventure?
Canuck Bacon replies, I will be returning to Ontario with my girlfriend to go to university in Thunder Bay.
Bearded Binder says, when will you be riding grizzly bears across Russia?
Canuck Bacon replies, 3 years from now. I want to do polar bears across Greenland first to prepare.
Lo and B says, this has been my absolute dream since I first visited Mongolia in 1998. How did you arrange all this?
Canuck Bacon replies, I found some people to help me and buy horses from on Workaway, and the rest is just sorta making it up as I go along. Talking back again says, will you try to find a Mongolian woman to ride across the taiga with you? Will you make this woman bear children for you, and will you build a yurt for her? Canuck Bacon replies, I've found American woman. Very pretty.
Zeus9 says, what's your route across Mongolia? Are you crossing through the desert? I imagine you're gonna need a separate horse to carry your food and provisions, and maybe another one to carry your camping equipment. If that's what you're doing, how do you plan on dealing with this?
Canuck Bacon replies, we're going to be going a more northern route, closer to the Russian border. Mongolia is a really cool country because it has camels in the south, reindeer in the north, and horses throughout. I think it's the only country with all of those. It's my girlfriend and I, so we'll each have one riding horse and one pack horse. We're sharing our camping gear, so it'll cut down on some space. We'll restock on provisions in the small towns whenever we can. Gonna be a very meat and dairy heavy diet for a while.
Ginger.cl says, what are you most worried about in X200B? Are your family jewels prepared for the journey?
Canuck Bacon replies, I'm going to have a lot of padding. Yeah, a lot. I'm most worried about the last quarter of my trip. It's sparsely inhabited even for Mongolia and fairly dry. We're going to have to go off of local advice.
With of confusion says, we mixed units?
Canuck Bacon replies, the walk was in the US, so miles. Canada uses the metric system like a sane country, and I'm typing this from the US, so I used miles for Mongolia. If I was there I'd use kilometers. I generally write down both since the people that read my blog are a mix, but that make for a long title. Bloth Hunter says these are all very solitary modes of transportation. What's your favorite mass transit option? Canuck Bacon replies 1. Trains 2. Planes 3. Ferries 4. Subway light rail 5. Buses.
JB92 says where's the worst place to get chafing?
Canuck Bacon replies if you are careful with clothing and physical development you can generally avoid it. Mosquito bites though, the worst place to get one is on top of a knuckle. Northern Ontario has some terrible mosquitoes and black flies.
Well, Waffle says what do you do for health insurance and such?
Canuck Bacon replies I bought some travel insurance through my credit union.
Skyler on the Moon says hi Skyler. Have you considered doing any water-based travels, such as kayaking the Mississippi or something?
Canuck Bacon replies great name I have. My girlfriend mentioned kayaking from mainland Australia to Tasmania, so that's a possibility.
Landler 656 says what are your thoughts on having the name Skyler? It seems to be developing into a girl's name among all spellings.
Canuck Bacon replies I know that Skyler is now majority female, but Skyler is still holding strong as majority male. By the time I die both will probably be majority girls' names. It happens to certain names. Beverly and Lindsay for example used to be a guy's names.
Crazy PRFSN Alsacia Mongolian. Do you need suggestions for good places to go?
Canuck Bacon replies sure.
Borgie95 says your previous adventures have been in places with clear rule of law. You're going somewhere that is not like this. What precautions do you plan on take to protect yourself? Are you aware of the extreme pollution affecting Mongolia and how will you manage this?
Canuck Bacon replies the pollution is only in the capital city Ulaanbaatar and mostly during winter. We will only be there for 4 days. The rest of the country is sparsely inhabited so it won't be a problem. Mongolia has little crime, and most of it is non-violent. We will need to be on the lookout for horse thieves though.